The people I'm looking at right now are David Alexander, a wonderful author from Perth who's actually published, and also Jocasta Clark, obviously of Clark Gabble fame, and here I am behind the camera. So we picked David up at the party tonight. Joey, how did you come across David?
Well, David and I actually met in a waiting room at the dentist, and we're basically part of an inner circle of patients. Is that how you describe it?
Well, from inside the dentist, it's more like a cabal, coven perhaps. I'm the only man allowed in. It's mostly witches' brew.
It's true. Whenever I go to the dentist, he's there.
How did
It's like a TARDIS. It absorbs people. Well, the nurses, the dentists, the patients.
The patients.
Whoever comes through. It's a very exclusive clientele.
Wow.
How many dentists have a lady receptionist? By which I mean a lady of the land. So she invites you into the inner circle.
Do you know what was really funny is before she was telling us how her dress was by Betty Jackson, and Joey goes, "Oh, I'm sure she's done one for Debenhams." But of course, she was having the real Betty Jackson dress, not the Debenhams rip-offs.
Don't ever tell her that. That's a terrible thing.
Yes,
Dress the finest in the land.
Let's talk about your book anyway, because I think this is, and what's coming up.
It's about Australia.
It's about cricket, if I remember.
Well, it's cricket themed, but you don't need to know anything about cricket to enjoy the book.
Good.
It's entirely about travelling Australia with too little money, too much to drink, too little sleep, and being Scottish. But it's the England cricket team, and you're in Australia. So where do you sit on that fence? And mostly looking at the dynamic that Australia has no sense of itself. So
some people would say that about Britain.
oh gosh, no, but they deify Britain. They absolutely. Australians, they may slag us off and hate our weather and criticise our sport, but they stay home every night and watch Last of the Summer Wine and Monty Python. I couldn't move without people telling me how much they love Blackadder.
Really?
Oh, they are. But it's like the Britain that I grew up in, a much older Britain, because they have good public transport system, high social values, clean streets, and all the sort of society that we blew apart in the 80s.
So when you went to Australia, did you go with the intention of writing this book, or were you there and were you inspired?
No. I had a mate who said, "I've got this brilliant idea. Let's join the Barmy Army and go to Australia and watch some cricket." And then, we started podcasting, and then we got to #1 in the iTunes charts with our podcast.
what was the podcast?
It was called Barmy Army Ashes.
Barmy Army Ashes on iTunes.
Yeah, so and it was basically, and we were exhausted, sunburned, everything was going wrong around us. We had no money, it was terrible. We used to find characters and just go, "All right, mate, you've come dressed as a kangaroo. What on earth are you doing in Australia?" And interview them like that. So then we did that, it did well, and then my friend had not told me that he was writing a book. But he's a sports journalist, and sports journalists, write 300 words, whereas I've been a writer, and he said, well, I needed to be a big book, and so I took his lead, I took the baton from him, and then lo and behold, we had 140,000 words exploring the position that Australia is now in, but with 5 jokes per page, because nobody's going to want to read it if it's not funny.
So that exactly takes us into another area of your life, doesn't it? Because David used to be a comedian. So
Under what name were you a comedian?
I was called David Kay, which is my...
His real name?
Well, my real name is David Alexander Kay, so I'm not.
Oh, okay.
I'm not cheating. I'm just.
I don't think there are rules with names. I think you've got yourself.
Do you do comedy still or not?
No, I gave it up. I got very tired. I did 7 years on the circuit full time, travelling up and down the country, back and down, and I don't sleep very well. And just, I weighed 9.5 stone.
I wish I did.
I smoked far too many cigarettes. I drank far too much beer. I had a great time. I don't watch TV. I don't have a television, so I don't know.
Oh, you dedicated entirely to the purity of your mind.
The purity of my mind and excessive masturbation are the two things that keep me going.
Gosh, I don't like to hear about
You just shocked me.
those aspects of men's life. I like to keep them under wraps. So, would you have Clark Gabble over to your house to carry on this interview?
Of course we could come to my house.
And where can we buy your book?
Buy it off the Book Depository, because the Book Depository, who have just been taken over by Amazon, but they are lovely, lovely people.
What do we search for again?
It's called Australia Blues, Scott of the Asses.
Australia
David
Blues.
Alexander.
Okay, look.
And you don't need to enjoy cricket. It's just if anyone who wants to go to Australia or who has travelled Australia or has ever travelled in a group of people and met strangers on trains and had encounters and such like, then it's like the closest. All the reviewers say it's like McCarthy's bar or round around the fridge.
Lovely, yeah.
So it's that sort of travel. I was in Melbourne and it was pouring rain. I got sunburned on a pouring rain day.
While they're talking, I'll just say that we'll see you at David's house next time. Bye for now from Clark Gabble.